Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of Alberta Founders Podcast. Woohoo! We're still alive and kicking at episode 9. Today, I'm sitting with my friend Dona over here. Dona is the founder of a company called Rhealize. Me and Dona have gone way back. We know each other for almost 2 years now. We got connected through Business Link Alberta, and then we just stuck along. And Dona is a founder in Alberta. I'm very happy that she obliged our request to join us in the Alberta Founders Podcast. So welcome, Dona.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for having us here today. I've known you for a couple of years and was impressed with how your venture stuck out in the group that we were in as something that was very ambitious and also something where you applied an area of specific knowledge that you had. So I think that there's a tie-in with what we're doing here at Rhealize as well.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for the kind words, Dona. Okay, are you ready for the podcast where we go deep into some nitty-gritty questions? Are you down for that?
Hit me, hit me.
All righty. Well, let's start with the first one. Well, Dona, can you introduce to the audience watching this, what do you folks do as a business and who do you serve as a market?
We are called Rhealize Strategic Talent Advisory. And what we are doing is closing the gap of information about jobs and about candidates because what we note right at the moment is that the employer knows everything about the job and really nothing about candidates that are applying to the job. So there a lot of candidates are still using resumes, and resumes are notoriously poor at being able to convey details about the person that they want to share about why they are going to be a good employee and why they should be considered. So we are doing using technology to be able to close that gap, but we're also using what we call a standardization process where we use like terms for both the job and the candidate and what work experience they've had and what kind of work that they're looking for on the job side in order to improve the information transfer between the two.
Nice. So it's an HR software then, right?
Yeah, you could call it an HR software for some people, like because hiring is an HR thing. But I actually believe that it falls more into the operations because in the operations are who are concerned about making sure that they get people who are aligned with the
Mhm.
work that are doing. So I actually see it as an operations optimization tool.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, let's keep on moving to the next one. And now we go actually much deeper into the question. So Donna, what's the one thing as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that annoys you the most at this point in a business? Is it sending the emails or making videos on YouTube or making videos on TikTok? Some people do that these days. What is the one thing that annoys you the most in your business at this point?
Right now, the most challenging thing that I see is the rate of change with AI and like what do we do? What should we actually follow in terms of development of our software and what should we chase in these trends that are happening? It is seems to have sped up from the time when we first started this venture 5 years ago to the last year, say that the rate of change has just maybe doubled, tripled. I don't know. Like it's gone up significantly. So it
Mhm.
makes it very, very difficult to know, are we making a good decision? So I'd say that that's something that bothers me that if I'm going to lay awake at night, it's thinking about that.
AI is definitely changing the game these days. Yeah. Well, the next one is which specific problem you have right now that you would want to magically disappear, poof, one day, and you would never have that problem ever again?
Oh, I think that marketing is the most difficult problem that any organization has to face. Like, where do you place your messaging? Well, first of all, what is your messaging? And
Hmm.
how well have you framed your customer's problem? Then where do you put that message? And, anybody who actually solves this for businesses, really, and for each business individually, I mean, they'll they'll be a trillionaire, because I think it is the most difficult problem in business,
Mm.
that maybe picking the right strategy to begin with is even ahead of that. But like,
Mhm.
say you have a good strategy, we all have really good ideas. It's understanding how we put that into the the problem framing of the client, of the customer, and then
Mm.
be able to place it properly as a marketing ad, or like social media, like wherever, however it has to get out there in order to tell people that you help them with that problem. That is the biggest challenge.
Mm. So to resolve this, did you go to a coaching center? Did you learn from books? Like, what are you doing to resolve that?
I have done everything above. Yes, 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 and yes. Yes, I mean, I took formal education in university. I have taken uh, courses through really good organizations. There's one here in Canada called Mirasee. We have taken programs through Alberta Catalyzer, and just over and over. And yes, books galore. I've read books by Canadian software instructor and also entrepreneur named Charles Plant, who talks about the whole problem of getting software into the market. I've done so many online courses, I can't even name them all. Like, it's constant. I'm always trying something new, because it feels like it's this journey of learning, and you start out with thinking you understand things, and then you realize that maybe the understanding is very narrow, of like just a little
Mhm.
piece of the marketing challenge. And you have to keep evolving. And the second problem is that the market is evolving at the same time. So you think you know something, and then the ground shifts from underneath you, and you
Mm.
are in a position of having to relearn something all over again, because the old rules don't matter anymore. There's something new in town.
Yeah, something's changing almost every week at this point with the AI race and the marketing, and there's AI avatar these days. I didn't know that I can record my face and my voice, and I can just put scripts on it and it will speak like me, look like me, and I can use that for ads. I didn't know that. I'm like, wow. So,
Yeah, that is a very cool thing. I think I mean, it is fantastic. But again, if your messaging isn't correct to begin with, it doesn't
yeah.
matter how fancy the technology is, it's not going to land. It may be wasted effort.
Yeah, no, if your messaging's not right, that is absolutely wasted effort. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Well, let's go on to the next one. Well, as a founder, do you have or you don't have the shiny object syndrome where you want to do something this week and the new thing the week after? And if you have it, how do you tackle it?
I have the issue of having had an idea that was fairly fully formed to begin with, and the market wasn't ready for the fully formed idea. I had to learn to back up and tackle the thing that I want to do step by step, and say what I'm trying to help the market with is how they recruit for people. And I
Hmm.
believe that we're beyond resumes. We don't need resumes anymore, because we have fields that we can fill in a software program. So if you
Hmm.
could capture the information in a software profile of a job, or a candidate, then you really don't need to have a resume. The problem is that people are conditioned for I didn't know this, but resumes are 500 years old. More than
Oh,
that.
wow.
They came out in the late 1400s. It was Leonardo da Vinci who used the first one in recorded history, and, so they've been around forever, like, in terms of, like, people getting jobs. So how do you train people out of something that they kind of have been relying on? You can't. You have to
Hmm.
actually start in a very, like, fundamental way, like, and for us, it was the job ad. So recently, we've decided that we needed, to help people actually rewrite their job ads. If we could start there, then the next step would be, okay, then we're gonna help you to do something a little bit different when you're screening applicants, and then we'll
Hmm.
do something different when you're actually considering what's the criteria that you need in order to ensure that they have the right skills and mindset to do the job. Then so it's doing, like, breaking it down into these very, very small pieces, and then dealing with each of the pieces rather than trying to feed them the whole thing at once, which is what we were doing before. And that didn't work. That didn't work. We got a big no. No, we don't want to do that. Where's the resume? Where's my resume that I have to put into this? And that was a very difficult thing to realize that that isn't how you change people's behavior in the market.
No, absolutely. The changes that you would like in the market, they have to be on a feedback mechanism of some sort so you can understand what. Yeah, no, you're
Yes.
right.
Like, I like what this is why I've been watching how you have been building your business. And something I noted is that you kind of piggybacked in on the idea that people are already interested in VR and
Yeah,
that they're getting into that, so that you gamified basically what you're teaching with your French studies.
yeah.
And so you're kind of doing that, kind of what I call a Trojan horse. Like, so you're giving them the good thing they need, but like, so it's a Trojan horse in a good way, that you're giving them something that is useful, practical, like knowledge, but you're doing it in a fun way. So you're using a better, like a backdoor kind of method to get them the information that they're, or the learning that they need to do. For us, that if we didn't have that initially, so this is what we have developed now and are going. The back door is to start with the job ads and don't have this conversation about no resumes yet. That's a progression. That's a progression.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right with the VR stuff. The advancement with education and VR is happening in this country as we speak. The only new part that we added to advance it was NLP. And we didn't know that we were one of the first in Canada, and at this point only in Canada, who have NLP with VR in French. You can speak to it and you get feedback under 2 seconds. And like, oh, that's great. So, but that's a different conversation.
Oh, but it is. It is a good it's a good conversation to have and to be aware
Yeah.
of, like that. Sometimes we think that there needs to be a change if something that's happening in the market, but you can't necessarily force people to do things differently than they're used to
Yep.
doing. So we have to know how to help people make that shift.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, let's go on to the next one. Um, as a founder, what's the most mentally exhausting part of your business that you know about, but no one actually sees it? Is it like speaking after hours or coding at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.? What is it for you?
It's much more practical than that, and it is having staff. And we have 2 developers that have been on staff with us for a number of years. And so for me, it's that stress of making sure that they are employed and
Mm,
for the long term, that we keep that commitment to them. That
mhm,
this is a very tough market right now for
mhm,
coders and for other IT professionals, that there's been a lot of layoffs and there's been a lot of shift with coding being done by AI now.
mhm,
So I find that making sure our employees, that we have a plan for ensuring their long term, is an accountability I feel I have as a business owner. Like, I don't, pay myself before my employees. My employees get paid first and foremost. So if, again, something that keeps me up at night, it's going to be, how do I make sure that I have enough in the hopper in terms of business, that those people are taken care of, that they never know that, like, that there's a tight month in terms of profit, or, like, whatever. That
mm,
I they don't need that stress. They just need to do their jobs.
absolutely. Yeah. Keeping the employees is a very vital part of any business. And I like the thought that you think more about them and then you pay yourself eventually. Wow, that's a noble thought. Wow. These days it's
It's
actually the opposite.
it's necessary when you're a startup. It's a reflection of what it is that we promote about recruitment overall, and that is, like, having empathy for people, making sure you get the right people in the seat first and
Mhm.
foremost, and then keeping them happy and keeping them well taken care of, so that you have that business continuity.
No, absolutely. Well, let's go on to the next one. As a founder in your beginning stages, what was the thing that you thought would be very easy in the beginning stages, but eventually it was way harder than you expected?
The marketing. I had read so much. I spent so much time. I remember one other program that I took from the US, and it was by a university, like an online place called UDO, and
Mm-hmm.
it's design thinking from out of Stanford University. It was like some designers from there that had gone to build this program. Anyway, I had done that before I started the business. I had all these plans. I had these
Mm-hmm.
strategies, and I had done a lot of work with my 2 business partners kind of figuring this out. And it'll be a small detail that'll trip you up. So the very first small detail that happened to us was we had named our company YWorks, and
Mm-hmm.
we had worked with a branding company out of Vancouver because I know, like, messaging, I'm being very intentional, is the most important thing that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't check to see if where the trademark had been purchased recently,
Oh.
and somebody beat us to the trademark application by 2 months.
Wow.
So then we had to start all over again. And it is
Mm-hmm.
why we're called Rhealize today, is because we
Mm-hmm.
first of all made sure we built the branding, and then we first of all made sure the trademark was there before we ever built anything. And then we
Mm-hmm.
built the branding afterward. Because you could do that. You could go and build this beautiful, like, thing, and then you can find out, and I imagine if you talk to lots of founders, you will find out the same thing has happened to them. They had some name, they thought it was great. They built up all of this marketing collateral based on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then they found out they couldn't use it because somebody else owned the trademark.
Yes, that happens sometimes. Yeah.
So, like, you were smart, you kind of put your name in it, so, like, it's a lot harder to do it, but then, again, it's like sometimes you have to find out, does that name even work? Like, we've had to
Mm-hmm.
separate sometimes our platform, our software platform name is 𝐀𝐈, and our
Mm-hmm.
consulting practice is Rhealize. It's like, try and find a name right now in the market that doesn't already have the URL
Mm.
reserved by somebody or being used by somebody. Almost every single word in almost every single, like, major language in the world has been uh, parked by somebody as a URL. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
impossible to come up with a spoken word that is
Mm-hmm.
not already being used or has been reserved by somebody.
Yeah, and then if you find a name, it should mean something, right? It should strike a chord with someone, with something. You not just pick a random word, car, pillow, cushion. It doesn't make any sense. So,
Exactly right. Yes, and that's all back to the marketing challenge again. So, marketing, I really do admire people who have natural kind of inclination, talent, like a mindset for it,
mm,
because to me, it has been the most challenging thing that I have had to learn. I am an adult educator. I'm an HR person. I've done quality management. I've managed health and safety, like, not as a health and safety professional, but within, like, an organization, and having to understand the principles of it. All of those are very technical things. Marketing does as well, but it has more principles. It's like
mhm,
philosophy, but it takes a very deep understanding of customers and how they think about their problems. And I've had to develop skills in that were not natural to me.
mhm. No, absolutely. That's a learning point. Okay, well, let's go on to the next one. As a founder, have you been dragged through this fire of entrepreneurship? And how do you face this chaos every day and turn that into clarity? Do you have a favorite mantra, a favorite routine
Mhm.
you follow? People do a push up or eat ice cream or watch a podcast. Like, what gets you ready for the day to face this chaos?
So, yes, I was dragged into being an entrepreneur. I used to work for entrepreneurs. Like, my business partner, Jeff, is the founder of an automotive company here in Canada. And so it's close to $1 billion company today, if it isn't already, like, if not that big. And so I worked for him for a number of years, and I really enjoyed that. I like being in the background and being the person that's implementing, or like I was kind of almost like a chief of staff sort of role. I had to become an entrepreneur myself because the solution that I saw for the market wasn't being built. And
Mm-hmm.
that was this idea that we don't need to use resumes anymore. And we've got to close this information gap about the job and about the candidate if we're going to make better matches between people and jobs. That's basically what I'm trying to do. And nobody was doing it. And we're still the only kind of real attempt that is being made at this in the market from what we've been able to observe over the last 5 years. So that was being dragged in, kicking and screaming. I really didn't want to do that. But sometimes in life you go, you got to just sort of pick yourself up and go, well, if not me, then who's going to do it? Maybe nobody. So I have
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And that's kind of what happened. So then the mantra that I have followed, and it came out of something that just sort of the associations I have with people and the things that they have said have been the things that have been helpful, is to maintain an an um an outcome focused attitude in mind. So be the person who's always thinking of what's the solution to the challenge that you're having or that your customer is having. So again, that's kind of like a design thinking
Mm-hmm.
perspective, is that you keep thinking, how can we fix, or, sometimes it's not even fixing a problem, it's improving a challenge that somebody is facing, including ourselves. So I'd say that that's my mantra. What do I need to do today that keeps me focused on outcomes and not on the problem itself? Like that, oh, woe is me, I have a problem. I'm not going to get, no, you have a problem.
Yeah.
What is something you need to do to improve your
Mm-hmm.
situation?
Outcome-based thinking. Absolutely. Okay, wonderful. Well, the next question is, what advice would you like to share to a first-time founder watching this podcast who are a student or a first-time founder and they have no idea about networking? They've heard about
Mm.
some group networking sessions in their city. They don't know what they should do. Basically, should they buy a suit before they go there? Should they print out business cards? How should they introduce themselves? Should they have a tough handshake or specific posture they should have? Like, what advice would you give to them?
I think the biggest thing that we can do to network with other people and to be memorable is be neat and tidy. But, like, unless your brand is something about grunge wear or something, then, like, neat and tidy is all that you need. You don't have to wear the
Mm.
best clothes if you showed up in jeans and a T-shirt and it was clean and you look presentable, then, your hair was clean, you know what I mean? Like, that is fine. But, people remember others who are interested in them. So
Mhm.
you don't actually even have to come prepared with a whole lot of information about what you do. If you ask other people questions about themselves, they will remember you as the most fascinating person that they met that day.
Mm. So be interested in the other human being instead of just lecturing them about your stuff.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like if you
mm.
the more you find out about other people, the more memorable you are to them, which is just, isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it seems counterintuitive. But, there's just so many people that are out there that are trying to, like, we think we're there to try to sell, but
Hmm.
in networking, we're there to try to build relationships, and how do you build a relationship? You be curious about other people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm endlessly curious about you, Hems, endlessly curious, because and you and I've had long conversations where I've asked you things, and I won't, like, go into those details right here, but I am very curious about, like, what drove this young man to be, uh, to be building this really massively complicated, not complicated, but challenging, system that you have done. Like, this is very interesting to me, and I can tell you every single person I meet, they have something that is equally fascinating about them.
Yeah.
We just have to ask them what they care about. That's I think the easiest thing that, breaks the ice.
And that's how they can have some kind of genuine connection with a human being. No, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Let's go on to the next one. Well, as a founder in your beginning years and beginning stages, what advice have you gotten from people that always turned on your BS meter? Was there any advice like that?
Oh, there's I think that thing about like you have to change somehow, like that the idea that you have to dress up and show up in a room and look a certain way. I'm reminded about meeting this person at a course I was in at the University of Alberta, and I'd gone into the break room during the course, and there was another course there that like other people from another course in the break room at the same time. And there were
Oh.
all of these young people, and they were all wearing business suits, and they all
Hmm.
looked generic because they all look the same. And there was this older guy sitting at the table, and he was there in his kind of like just casual jacket, and he was wearing jeans, and he was sitting there, and the things he was saying were so outstanding. I was like, why is no one listening to this man speaking just
Hmm.
generally at this table? They were all posturing in their business suits around there, like looking to try to look important, I guess is really what this was. And I said, like, these guys aren't saying anything that's interesting or important, but that guy is. And
Uh-huh.
what I noticed is he really showed up as himself. Like he didn't need to wear a suit to be somebody that stood out. He
Hmm.
just had to be himself utterly. And I think that was a good lesson for me is that you don't have to wear the power suit or
Hmm.
like put on some sort of persona. It's like when you're passionate about something
Yeah.
and when you care about making a difference about something, because sometimes the thing that we are here to change isn't about a product. Maybe it's about a solution like housing or food shortage or something like that. Then
Hmm.
that passion is what you bring to the room. And so, like, you don't ever have to feel like you have to be someone else or put on some show. And I used to get that advice. Oh, you have to, like, if you want to be taken seriously as a woman,
Mm.
you have to, like, do this or that. And that has proven to be entirely false.
Let's move on to section 2 of this podcast, which is the rapid fire round. And the idea is that you would answer in 2 to 3 words, whatever comes to mind. Are you ready for that, Donna?
Oh my goodness, this is psychology. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Hems.
Okay, wonderful. One tool you'd swear by.
Oh, it's called Ask Alex, and it's by a friend of mine, a guy named Patrick Seaton, and he developed it. It's based on work he did in a book called The Crocodile Brain. And so what it does is it analyzes verbiage, like copy, emails, any sort of writing to see if it puts up any sort of like neurological blocks for people, like, and it's especially good for doing sales presentations and reach outs and that sort of thing. So I absolutely use this tool every single day.
Okay, wonderful. One tool you would never use again.
I don't know. I don't know. I'll never say never, Hems. Like,
Okay.
I like tools. I like them. I don't have one that comes to mind. I'll never say never on those.
Okay, wonderful. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book is, I like this one called The Fifth Discipline by, Peter Senge. It's on systems thinking. That's been one of the most pivotal books I have read in my life on helping me to understand how organizations work.
Nice. Okay. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food is, I think Indian food and Italian food. Like I'd put them all kind of Italian's like the light version of Indian, the less spicy version, but they both
Okay.
have qualities that are similar. Yeah, really good stuff.
Nice. Okay. Um, what metrics do you check the most in your business daily at this point?
Yeah, I'm always watching my LinkedIn because I've got an automation that is running.
Okay, one thing that has saved you more than once in your business.
Money.
Absolutely.
Like having enough cash is definitely like a long, long time ago. My husband and I built a house together and it was on a shoestring. And I swore I would never, ever do it again. And then here I am, like years later, building a business. And like we're always constantly, anybody who does a startup, you're probably underfunded. Unless you have someone that is funding you and or you're independently wealthy, then you as a startup are probably chronically underfunded.
Well, the final question for today is to the student and the first-time founder watching this podcast today, who are seeing you and me for the first time and who have just been struck with the idea of entrepreneurship, basically from Instagram, watching their private jet videos or Lamborghinis or Ferraris, and they're motivated to get to their financial freedom. What advice would you like to give to them, and what should they be ready for in this world of entrepreneurship?
Well, that's a great question. And as you're speaking about that, it reminds me of there's a psychologist in England who's done research on this, and they're saying that posting pictures of our dream car, our dream house, our dream life is not the way that we actually reach those goals. The best thing that we need to do is to figure out what is the practice that we need? What is the ability and skills that we need in order to reach those dreams? And then think about how we're going to develop ourselves. That is actually what helps you to become better at being an entrepreneur and being more
Mm-hmm.
successful. And
Mm-hmm.
Hems, I've watched you do it too. So I know that you're doing those things. Like you, how many, programs have you taken in university to
Yeah.
learn the theory, to learn the skills that you need to develop? You've had to learn how to code
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn how to develop AI agents so that I could progress in what I'm doing. Like I had no idea even 6, 8 months ago that I would be writing AI agents, but it's turned out to be something that has been necessary in order for me to further what I want to do. So figure out what it is that you need to have skills in, and then do what you have to do to develop yourself. And if you want help with it, reach out because that's my specialty is like, how do you develop a skill?
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, well, it was great having you today, Donna. Thanks so much for the advice, the stories, and your own personal experiences. I think the students and first-time founders watching this would have a lot to learn from this podcast and apply that to their lives. So thank you so much for sharing all that today.
Well, I really hope I haven't scared you all off because, in spite of it being dragged and kicking and screaming into doing this, it has also been the most rewarding experience that I have had. I think I have learned more in the last 5 years on like how to be successful than I did in all of the years of work that I did before. So I give it that. It's like an MBA that you have like created on your own if you decide to go down this path.
No, you're right. Well, it was great having you today, Donna, and thank you for joining us again today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Hems.